Super.
Parfait, donc mon son à moi est à on. Alors, hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Bon dimanche matin. Happy Sunday morning. Days are flying fast, so by, so fast. So, losing my English. So, this morning, ce matin, I have the great privilege to interview someone who doesn't need introduction on this page because we've had her previously, and is Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni. Welcome, Manjiri.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Alors, elle n'a pas besoin d'introduction, je l'ai déjà interviewée. Ici, Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, et je vais présenter sa bio, présenter le contenu extraordinaire de ce matin qui est tellement en lien avec l'énergie de Noël et l'énergie actuelle et du solstice d'hiver. Et après, ça va être une entrevue bilingue, comme vous en avez l'habitude ici, alors que je vous présente mes amis à l'international. So, Manjiri, I've just shared with everyone that it's going to be a bilingual interview.
Yeah.
And it's so much attuned to the winter solstice that we're in.
Yeah.
As we are in between realms, in between season, in between light and darkness. And this is the time in Jyotisha for a sacred pause. So what better way to... Alors, elle n'a pas besoin d'introduction, je l'ai déjà interviewée ici. Give me just 1 second. Daniel, j'ai le son qui... Did you take it out, the sound?
No, my sound is good.
Okay, you're not having double... Okay, so we're good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so let me just introduce you in French and then I'll present you in English. Alors, découvrez, aujourd'hui, on va découvrir les 3 aspects de la déesse divine Shakti, bien connue de l'Inde, à travers les yeux du Dr Manjiri Nadkarni, où elle va nous parler de son voyage de transformation spirituelle et elle a visité 3 différents Shaktipeeths. Donc, en anglais, c'est des endroits de prière de la déesse divine Shakti en Inde. Et elle va nous parler de Shakti, qui est aussi associée à l'énergie divine féminine. Et ces 3 aspects-là, et comment intégrer dans nos rituels quotidiens ces aspects-là de la déesse Shakti dans notre vie pour nous amener plus proches et plus en contact avec notre énergie féminine. Donc, today we're going to discover 3 aspects of the divine goddess through the eyes of Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, where she will talk about her transformative spiritual trip to 3 different Shaktipeeths, or sacred goddess shrines in India. She will talk about Shakti, also referring to the divine feminine energy, the 3 aspects of Shakti and how to integrate daily ritual in your life that bring you closer to your own feminine divine energy. So let me just read your bio, which is extensive, and then we'll jump right into the questions. Alors, le Dr Manjiri Nadkarni est un médecin ayurvédique. Elle est une nutritionniste certifiée. Elle est certifiée aussi en allergie de base. Elle est une conférencière internationale et une éducatrice, une enseignante. Donc, sa mission, c'est d'éduquer pour empuissancer les femmes en utilisant le super pouvoir de l'Ayurveda et vous aider à guérir profondément de l'intérieur en éliminant la cause racine de vos malaises. Elle se spécialise à intégrer l'ayurvédique et la médecine ancienne avec l'approche moderne de la nutrition holistique et travaille avec les conditions chroniques comme les problèmes de digestion, les déséquilibres hormonaux, les désordres métaboliques. Et vous pouvez en apprendre plus en visitant son site web manjirinadkarni.com. Le lien va être sous la vidéo et dans la description de la vidéo après l'entrevue. So Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni is an
Yeah.
Ayurvedic doctor. She's a registered holistic nutritionist. She's a certified base allergy consultant, international speaker. She's been on many summits. She's a teacher and a well-known educator. Her mission is to educate and empower women using the superpower of Ayurveda and help you heal from deep within by eliminating the root cause. She specializes in integrating ancient Ayurvedic medicine with modern holistic nutrition and works with chronic conditions like digestive disorders, hormonal imbalances, and metabolic disorders. You can learn more about her by visiting her website, manjirinadkarni.com, and it will be in the description of the video and in the comments as well. So, Manjiri, very happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
So I would like you to start explaining how this whole trip idea came about, and maybe if you can just give us a picture of your childhood or your life in India, because yeah, I'm very curious about that, the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Before I get started, I would really like to invoke the goddess. I haven't really planned the interview today, so I'm just going to let it flow. I want it to be very organic. So I would just like to say a few verses uh, from the 700 verses of the goddess. And I would really like to start with the invocation. So if for all those watching this, please close your eyes for 2 minutes. Make sure you feel connected to the energy of the goddess. And I'll start with the chanting. Jaya Tvam Devi Chamunde, Jaya Bhuta Paharini, Jaya Sarvagate Devi, Kala Ratri Namostute, Jayanti Mangala Kali, Bhadra Kali Kapalini, Durga Shiva Kshamadhatri, Swaha Swadha Namostute. So the verses mean that may glory be to you, O goddess Chamunde. You are the one who is going to remove all the sadness, all the negativity, all the challenges that we face, all the past karma from this universe. And you are the one who's omnipresent. You're present in every being, you're present in every animal, you're present in different species, plants, whether we talk about animate or inanimate objects, you're everywhere. And you're also the one where things dissolve into the dark night. That's the end of the evolution, is the destruction for a new evolution to begin. So you're the one who's responsible for everything from the start till the end. And then there are various names given to the goddess itself. Durga is the one who is going to destroy your Durgati. Like, always make sure you're aligned on the right path. You don't have any Durgati, you don't have a wrong path. Jayanti is somebody who will always give you victory. Mangala is somebody who's always going to, be auspicious. So these are various names given to the goddess in the second verse. And when we talk about Swaha or Swadha, it's any prayers, any ablutions, any worship that you send to the gods or your ancestors are going to reach this goddess, because she's the one everywhere. So this is one of my uh, favorite verses. It's extremely close to my heart. So I really wanted to start with this.
Beautiful. Let me just translate to make sure everybody's is getting it, and it's amazing, very inspiring to hear you chant. Alors, Manjiri a commencé, elle voulait ouvrir cette entrevue-là parce qu'elle a dit, je ne me suis pas préparée comme telle, je voulais que ce soit organique, je voulais que ça soit sincère et du cœur. Et donc, elle a commencé par invoquer la déesse Shakti, tiré des 700 versets. What are those 700 verses? Is it a book? Is it...
Yeah, so it's a book called The Glory of the Goddess or Devi Mahatmya. It's also called as Durga Saptashati or the 700 verses dedicated to the goddess. And that is one of the main texts of, Shakti worshippers. And it is where it's described, it will talk about the three different aspects of the Shakti that we are going to discuss about. So
Okay,
in that, they've clearly talked about different aspects and how different aspects can manifest to protect you and support your journey.
beautiful. Alors, elle a invoqué les 700 versets. C'est un livre qui s'appelle Gloire à la déesse Shakti. Et c'est un livre que ceux qui vénèrent cette déité-là en Inde vont utiliser. Là-dedans, c'est de ça que vient l'entrevue. On discute à l'intérieur de ce livre-là des 3 aspects de Shakti et donc de l'énergie féminine. Et dans son chant du début, dans ses invocations, elle a dit plus la gloire, enlever la gloire et la glorieuse déesse Shakti, enlever la négativité qu'on rencontre, les défis qu'on rencontre, nos karmas passés. Et puisque c'est une déesse qui est omniprésente dans les objets animés ou inanimés pour les hindous, elle est aussi responsable pour nous libérer de tout ça. Et donc, on lui donne d'autres noms. On l'associe aussi à la déité Durga, qui est souvent représentée avec un lion derrière, pour détruire tous les ennemis et pour nous aligner. Mangala, qui va être aussi référé comme étant avec un caractère auspicieux. Donc, Shakti a différentes facettes, différents noms auxquels on réfère. Et également, quand on parle de Swaha, quand elle récite le verset, elle dit, je fais référence aussi dans mon invocation que toutes les prières envers vos ancêtres, envers Dieu, envers le ciel, vont se rendre à la déesse Shakti dans cette invocation-là. So wonderful. Do you want to carry on? Give me just 1 second. I just want to make sure that technically everything is good with the interview.
Mhm.
Just to make sure we're all good with Facebook.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure. Daniel, est-ce que tu peux confirmer que tout était correct et qu'on est bien à côté de l'autre? Le son est bon, parfait. So we can keep going on. I just don't want to lose any piece of it. It's just beautiful. Okay. So do you want to carry on?
Yeah, so your question was about the trip, whether it was planned or not planned. Honestly, it was not planned at all. So the trip to India was mainly for my best friend's wedding. A lovely friend who has supported me. I've known her since I was, in kindergarten. So I just wanted to go and be there for her wedding. But interestingly, all the places that I visited were around her, like around the venues that we had decided. And one of the first trips that I took was because she wanted to go a place called Rishikesh. It's by the Ganges, very popular in the yoga community. So she wanted to go, she wanted to meditate, she wanted to really internalize, before such a huge change, right? Like a marriage is a huge change for any woman. So she really wanted to, ground herself. But there were a few changes last minute. She couldn't make it to the trip because of her health. And I ended up going to another Shaktipeetha, which was that was the first one on my travels. It's called Chandrabadni. It's in Uttarakhand. So it's the northern part of India. It's northern than Rishikesh on the mountain top. And I cannot even describe the experience. It was magical. It was beyond magical. It was Chandrabadni means the goddess whose body glows like the moon. And that was where I found so much peace, so much inner connection. Um, I felt closer to my mom. I lost my mom a few years ago, and I think my mom was very like instrumental in helping me on this journey, even, not being in her physical body now. But it was there I could kind of connect to the divine feminine.
Was your mother connected to Shakti or femininity, you would say?
Yeah, so I grew up listening to stories of different gods and goddesses. So every night story time would not be about, Cinderella or any other books. I was never, into those books, but my mom would always talk about different stories of gods, goddesses. There's a story about the churning of the Milky
Yeah,
Ocean where all the
yeah,
jewels came out. So
yeah.
she would talk about that. She would
Yeah, with
talk
the
about,
nectar of
yeah.
immortality. Yeah.
Yeah, so she would talk about different stories regarding goddesses. And if you look at the society we live in, in a patriarchal society, it was amazing to see how much power women, the divine feminine held, right? So a lot of these stories were about how when the gods were in trouble, they would approach the goddess and she would be there and she would help them and she would kill all these demons that the gods ended up giving boons to. Then the demons grew in power and then the gods felt out of control, and then they were the ones to call upon Shakti. So I was fascinated. There were a few temples close to where I was, where I grew up. So my mom, every Friday, she would take me to these temples. There's a festival in India that's dedicated to the goddess. It's called the Nine Nights of the Goddess. So the 9 nights of the goddess, there are four, it's called Navratri.
Preparatrice,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there are four very important Navratris in a year. Like every month would have a Navratri. But there are four important ones throughout the year, of which one called the one in autumn, Sharadiya Navratra, is extremely important from a religious, spiritual perspective. And that's where my mom would read the 700 verses of the goddess every year, right? All the
Wow.
chants, whether the chanting of Shri Sukta, which is a sacred prayer dedicated to goddess Lakshmi, I can still hear her chant that. Like every time I chant the prayer, I would always remember it in her voice.
Wow. Let me just translate. Donc, le voyage a commencé. Alors, je vous traduis. Merci beaucoup de votre patience envers notre échange et le fait que c'est bilingue. Donc, Manjiri nous raconte que ce voyage-là n'était pas planifié. Le voyage dans lequel on vous amène, le voyage dans lequel on va parler des temples et des 3 aspects de la déesse, de l'énergie féminine et de la déesse Shakti en Inde. Elle est allée là, elle est retournée parce que maintenant Manjiri habite en Ontario. Mais là, elle est allée en Inde au mariage d'une de ses meilleures amies. Elle connaît cette amie-là depuis la maternelle et elle est allée à Rishikesh, qui est près du Gange. Alors, donc, elle est allée voir cette amie-là. Puis au début, c'était de faire un certain trajet parce que son amie voulait méditer avant le mariage. C'est un grand passage pour une femme de se marier. Et elle avait dit à Manjiri, on va aller faire des temples pour que je puisse méditer, pour que je puisse me recueillir. Et au début, c'était supposé de visiter des temples qui sont près de chez elle, avec Manjiri, près de Rishikesh et du Gange. Mais là, il y a eu un grand changement parce qu'à cause de sa santé, elle ne se sentait plus capable de faire ça. Et Manjiri s'est ramassée à y aller seule. Et donc, elle a commencé à décider de vouloir, en premier, aller visiter un lieu de prière et de dévotion sacrée à Shakti qui s'appelle Chandrabundi. Correct? Am I saying
Chandrabadani,
it
yeah.
correctly? OK. Donc, elle est allée là en premier, au nord de l'Inde. C'est au sommet d'une montagne. Et elle a dit que l'expérience a été extraordinaire. Cette expression-là de ce temple-là, en fait, le nom de ce temple-là signifie, en référence au corps de Shakti, son corps illumine comme la lune. Et donc, elle a dit que quand elle est allée là, elle s'est sentie très, très proche de sa mère. Et elle dit qu'elle a été vraiment instrumentale à son voyage, sa mère. Il faut comprendre qu'elle a perdu sa mère il y a quelques années. Et donc, elle me dit, Manjiri, elle dit, vous devez savoir que moi, j'ai grandi à écouter des histoires, non pas de Cendrillon, mais à écouter des histoires que le soir, ma mère me racontait. Et c'était toujours des vraies histoires traditionnelles hindoues. Et à chaque fois dans ces histoires-là que les dieux étaient en difficulté, ils faisaient appel aux déesses pour venir les sortir du trouble. Alors, elle dit, c'était incroyable. Même à cette époque-là, elle dit, je peux encore me souvenir de ma mère qui me racontait ça le soir, des soirs pour m'endormir. Mais dans ces semences-là, je pouvais, tu sais, plus tard, j'ai conscientisé comment, dans une société patriarcale, les histoires que moi j'entendais, c'était à propos de la puissance des femmes. Donc, et elle a dit, ma mère m'amenait au temple tous les vendredis. Et en Inde, il y a un festival très important qui s'appelle Navaratri. Et Navaratri a lieu 4 fois par année, mais celui de l'automne est particulièrement puissant. Ça s'appelle les 9 nuits de la déesse. Et à chaque année, elle se souvient encore de sa mère qui chante les 700 versets. Et à l'intérieur existe une prière secrète de la déesse Lakshmi. Now, everybody will want to know about that secret prayer for Lakshmi right now.
It's not a secret prayer. There are several prayers dedicated to Goddess Lakshmi, right? So
Right.
this one is a Vedic prayer. It's called Shri Suktam, and it's not a secret at all, But
Okay.
my mom used to chant every day when she would pray, and a lot of the times, and I used to sleep, and it was almost like a yoga nidra state where like I have to listen to a chant like twice because I've already heard it when I was sleeping. Her room used to be next to my bedroom. So every morning, 6 o'clock, earlier than six, she would wake up, she would pray, and I would kind of, if I hear it twice, and I'm like, okay, I know this. So yeah. So it was beautiful. And then my dad had another set of chants, right? So they were both, my dad was not extremely religious, but he was very spiritual. So growing up, every year during Diwali, there's a day dedicated to Goddess Lakshmi. So he would go to a temple in Mumbai called Mahalakshmi Temple. It's very famous. And in the temple itself, you will see three aspects of the goddess. So there is Mahalakshmi, there is Mahasaraswati, and there is Mahakali. And I have been to the temple innumerable times, and it is also a place where you find a lot of peace. It's in a really busy area, but there are lines, no matter where you go in India, whichever temple, there are going to be lots and lots of people. But the kind of peace you find in the chaos around you is something that can't be described.
Wow. So a lot of worshipers, many worshipers, always, even Indian, like not tourism.
Not
It's
tourism, no. And the one I went to in Uttarakhand, the Chandrabadni temple, I'm gonna see if I can find um yeah, so can you see my
yeah.
screen? Yeah. So that's the temple that I was, visiting. That's the peak of the temple, Chandrabadni temple. These are some ancient statues, some ancient, tridents, a lot of very old statues of the goddess. And this is where you can make offerings. You can add some wood, you can add camphor. So several ways to make offerings. And yeah, so this is what the temple traditionally looks like. Um, and this was on the top of a mountain. So you have to walk quite a bit. And it was not as populated, it was very calm, it was very quiet. So I could see a lot of married couples, going there for the blessings. I could see some women carrying their young ones to seek blessings of the goddess. Um, so this was like most people belong to, in my culture, we have family deities, right? So family goddesses. So there is a protector goddess responsible for a family. And then you are like, if you connect to her, your life just becomes easier. It's very easy to invoke your family goddess. And like a lot of the people in that region had Chandrabadni as their family deity. So you have to pay respects to your family deity first. So that's where they all were. But um, it was amazing.
Let
Yeah.
me just translate. But I just want to clarify something. You are hearing Manjiri every morning around 6 o'clock in the other room, your mother chanting.
Yeah. Yeah, growing up, yeah, that's how it was. She would wake up really early, she would chant, and Next to my bedroom was a small prayer room. That's where she would sit,
Wow.
and I could hear all the chants. Yeah.
You were you were very young.
Since I was young, she would always like pray. She would chant all the time, you know.
I I'm very admirative of that. I find that I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I admire that
Yeah, yeah.
because you know how many were you in your family?
It was the five of us. So my dad, mom, I have an older sister, a younger brother.
So still a busy mom,
Yeah, yeah.
but making place for a spiritual life.
And chanting, like if my friends would call me as I grew up, they would still hear, they were like, oh, is it music in the background? I'm like, no, it's my mom chanting. So it was that the Shakti was a part of her day-to-day life. And that is something I would love to talk to people about. Or, it's not when we are under a lot of stress that we should reach out to the goddess, right? It's you have to connect with her on an everyday basis. She has to be an integral part of your life, and you have to be in that deep connection with yourself, because that's what she allows. Often we feel so disconnected, we are stressed, and suddenly we remember God to help us solve our problems.
Yeah.
But if you are connected to her all the times, you wouldn't create those problems in the first place.
Good. Let me just translate that piece. It's beautiful. I agree. So, alors, elle dit euh, qu'elle a grandi avec sa mère qui chantait, comme on a parlé, et qui chantait notamment, elle dit cette prière-là, c'est moi qui ai mal compris, la prière à Lakshmi n'est pas secrète, c'est une prière védique qui s'appelle Shri Suktam. Alors, Sri-Suktam. Et sa mère chantait ça le soir, puis c'était presque comme du yoga nidra. Manjiri rentrait comme dans une espèce d'état méditatif de mi-sommeil pour celles parmi vous qui connaissaient le yoga nidra. Et donc, à 6 heures le matin, sa mère priait et récitait des chants. Et donc, son père, lui, donc elle a grandi avec ça. Même très, très jeune, elle entendait sa mère faire ses invocations le matin dans la chambre d'à côté. Puis elle disait qu'il y avait même une autre pièce dans la maison qui était une pièce de prière. Et donc, son père, lui, n'était pas religieux, mais il était très spirituel. À toutes les années, il allait à Mumbai, dans un temple qui s'appelle Mahalakshmi, qui est très, très connu et populaire là-bas, dans lequel on fait une dévotion sur 3 aspects de Lakshmi, qui est Saraswati, Kali et Lakshmi, qui est 3 visages de la déesse Lakshmi, qui ont 3 noms différents. Elle est allée tellement souvent, puis elle dit, c'est fou de voir, comme Mumbai est tellement peuplé, l'Inde tellement, ça fourmille, mais elle dit, dans cet endroit-là, il y a une paix qui est hors de ce monde. Il peut y avoir des lignes, puis elle dit, c'est pas du tourisme, là. Elle dit, c'est les hindous qui recherchent cette dévotion-là et qui font la file pour aller se recueillir. Elle disait, quand elle est allée au temple qu'elle nous a montré, elle disait qu'elle a marché beaucoup, puis qu'elle croisait des femmes avec leurs enfants, des gens qui venaient de se marier, qui voulaient aller chercher des bénédictions pour leur mariage. Et encore là, pas de touristes, très peu, parce que en Inde, on a des déités, une déesse, typiquement, qui est assignée à la famille. Et on doit, dans le respect de ça, quelques fois par année, aller se recueillir vers notre déesse qui est chargée de protéger spécialement notre famille. Donc ça, c'est une des coutumes en Inde. Et elle disait elle dit, vous savez, elle dit, ce qu'il faut comprendre, puis elle dit, ça, c'est un des messages que je veux transmettre aux gens ce matin. C'est certainement une chose qu'elle a appris. Elle dit, on ne fait pas de dévotion à Dieu juste quand ça va mal. Elle dit, quand tu fais de la place pour de la dévotion envers le Dieu de ton cœur à tous les jours, ben tu n'arriverais pas dans ces problèmes-là que tu rencontres aujourd'hui au point de départ. So you can surely keep going. So tell us more. And I can ask you questions too, but I think you're on a thread. I want to hear it some more.
Yeah, so I think, I wanted to talk about, this is extremely important as women to connect with Shakti, right? And I am blessed to having been grown up with the culture. I am also somebody who resisted a lot of it later on, when you're growing in your teenage years, you start questioning everything, you start to understand independence of thought, and then you start questioning everything, right? So I was trying to figure out whether it was superstition, whether it was about spirituality. So I kind of fought a lot, questioned a lot, but from an experiential aspect, once I started experiencing, it's almost like coming back home, even in my teenage years, I would question and I would be like, no, I don't know. And then you would have some kind of an experience that forces you to believe that, okay, this is the truth, right? And I also grew up being very competitive with the other gender, right? Because we are constantly, as women, we try to, especially if you grow up in a patriarchal culture, right? So one biggest blessing I had was my dad helped me, um, he did not treat me any differently than my brother. I had the same liberty, I had the same responsibilities. Um, a lot of freedom, maybe even more than my brother because my dad did trust me. But when you start seeing things around you, you always have that, okay, men act different, why do they have so much? Then you start competing with everyone, right? And then that takes away from your feminine energy. You try to be masculine, you try to shout and yell, and that's how,
And
so
push and be an
push.
ambition and
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, just push and compete and always try to prove you're better, right? So that takes up a lot of your energy, your personal energy. And when we talk about this feminine energy, when we talk about Shakti, every single woman has that energy, right? So when we talk about the 700 verses of the goddess herself has said that I reside in each one of you, right? So whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, we are both going to have an aspect of the masculine energy, an aspect of the feminine energy. But as born as women, we have to really respect that energy, and we have to really get a little bit connected to the energy. We have to really get a little bit introverted. Once you start connecting with the energy, you will find your inner strength, you will discover your inner strength, that you don't have to push with anything, you don't have to fight for anything, you don't have to prove anyone anything, right? So whether it's a societal pressure you're facing, whether it's a professional pressure, women are still not as much part of the workforce. Men dominate the workforce, right? Whether it's professional lives or when we talk about personal pressures, family related, relationships, this can all lead to a burnout, right? But if you are,
And I just want to say something. I just want to add to what you're saying, and then we're just going to pause so I can translate.
yeah,
But this is so true what you're saying, that to this day, with some members of my family,
yeah,
if I'm more in tune with my emotions,
yeah,
it's like Vaseline. They don't have a clue what to do with it.
yeah,
They're embarrassed by it.
yeah,
And they're almost reflecting to you, they're almost reflecting to you, why are you taking us in that deepness? Why are you making us feel so much? We're not enjoying this.
yeah.
And you're being shamed into being, voicing
Emotion. Yeah,
what's alive.
yeah.
So it's huge what you're conveying to us today. It's huge.
Yeah, and it's essential because I think, earlier in the years, even in my graduate school, when I was doing Ayurveda, it was always something like, oh, I have to be better than the boys, or and lucky for me, I
You were
was
good.
I was good, right? And I didn't have to study as much as some of them did. So that really irked them that, okay, I'm studying and studying and studying, and you're still getting better score,
That's
and
funny. So let me just translate, okay? Give me just 1 second. Alors, Manjiri explique, elle dit, vous savez, elle dit, dans notre société, bon, alors, premièrement, je veux juste retourner sur quelque chose. Elle dit, durant mon adolescence, je me suis rébellée. Je questionnais beaucoup, je me suis tournée un peu de toute mon enfance et comme je voulais pas aller là. C'est comme si je voulais pas retourner dans cette partie-là spirituelle, puis dans la féminité, puis dans ce que j'avais appris. Mais elle dit, après, t'arrives des expériences, puis tu es obligé de dire, ah, mais ça, c'est la vérité. Puis elle dit, les expériences me ramenaient constamment à ce que j'avais appris à ce que j'avais apprise plus jeune au niveau du pouvoir de Shakti et l'énergie féminine. Elle, elle dit, moi, j'ai grandi, comme tout le monde, pardon, dans une société patriarcale. Donc, en compétition avec les hommes, puis constamment voulant me prouver par rapport avec l'autre genre. Et là, elle disait, euh, mon père, pourtant, m'a élevé pareil à mon frère. Des fois, j'avais même plus de permission parce qu'il sentait qu'il pouvait me faire confiance. Euh, mais, tu sais, dans la société, là, les femmes, on est encore enseignées à pousser, à compétitionner, à se prouver. Et elle disait ça nous épuise, ça nous vide. Et c'est important de vous souvenir que la déesse Shakti réside en vous. Et oui, si tu n'es pas née femme, tu as les deux énergies, une énergie féminine et masculine. Mais elle dit, quand tu es née femme, c'est important de connecter à cette énergie-là. C'est important d'avoir des moments introvertis parce qu'elle dit que ce soit la pression de société, que ce soit la pression dans les familles, on doit ne pas perdre de vue cette énergie-là. Puis elle dit, moi, quand j'ai étudié en Ayurveda, j'étais encore mue par le désir d'être meilleure que les autres garçons, puis je n'avais pas étudié aussi fort, puis je réussissais. Juste parce que j'avais un talent pour l'Ayurveda, où j'étais déjà versée là-dedans. Fait qu'elle dit, fait que ça, puis je lui disais, puis même encore aujourd'hui, moi, dans mon cercle de famille, quand je viens émotive ou quand je veux parler de ce qui est vivant à l'intérieur de moi, par moment, tu te fais sentir honteuse de connecter à ça. Puis il y a des gens dans ta famille proche ou dans tes amis proches qui vont te faire sentir comme que c'est de la vaseline et on ne sait pas quoi faire avec tes émotions. Plus que ça, on t'en veut de nous faire descendre là parce qu'on ne veut pas y aller. Donc, yeah, you can keep going. It's a fascinating subject.
And this is, going back to, why is it important? Balancing masculine and feminine energies are extremely important at this point of time. You are seeing a lot of conditions in women ranging from, higher levels of testosterone caused, found in conditions like PCOS, PCOD. You're finding early menopause because women are constantly fighting and flighting, right? So the menopause that's going to be there as a part of your normal life, later 50s, you're now seeing the same in women in 30s, right? Late 30s, early 30s, 40s. So when you are pushing yourself too much, when you're constantly fighting, flighting, you're constantly taking away from your feminine essence, you're again getting very harsh with yourself. That's another thing I've seen in realms of competition. There is this every woman I talk to, every patient I talk to, all my friends, there's this somewhere in your mind that, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not being enough. I have to do more and more, rather than cherishing yourself, rather than respecting in yourself, rather than making your life happy, being content, fulfilling. You're always looking for that extra and pushing hard and that extroversion. And that's going to take away from your feminine energy. A lot of emotional wounds, right? A lot of emotional wounds due to suppressed emotions, right? Not being able to express yourself. That emotional healing, that self compassion, that transformation is only possible through the energy of Shakti, right? And today, whether it's finding a purpose in today's life, whether it's grounding yourself, whether it's understanding that there is no other way than just being in the flow, being in acceptance, being completely in tune with yourself, all those softer emotions, softer, um, thoughts that are going to connect you to your feminine energy, right? So I want every woman to ask themselves, that what are some simple ways that you can connect with your feminine wisdom, how can you connect with your divine feminine, how can you connect with Shakti to be able to handle the challenges in your life, and how can you really embrace this energy, what changes do we need to make in your life. And this is going to vary individually. Some are going to suppress their emotions, some are going to fight against, by over expressing, or fight a lot with the harsher emotions. So you need to be able to get introverted a little bit to understand what aspect of the feminine do you require. And
Yeah.
that's where we will talk about those three main aspects of the divine feminine.
Yeah, and what are your default response? What are your survival mode that you learned that come up every time but are detrimental to your health?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just translate that piece. Alors, le but de l'entrevue aujourd'hui et de ce que mentionne Manjiri, c'est qu'elle dit, je ne peux pas faire autrement que de voir les effets sur la santé quand l'énergie féminine n'est pas équilibrée. Et elle mentionnait, elle dit, c'est tellement important de porter notre énergie féminine pleinement et de la bonne façon. Puis elle dit, aujourd'hui, ça se reflète dans des maladies pulmonaires comme PCOS, PCOD. Ça se reflète dans les ménopauses beaucoup plus jeunes. Parce que les femmes sont constamment en train de se battre ou se sauver, hein, donc faire face ou fuir. Et donc, ce qu'on voyait avant dans la cinquantaine, dans la ménopause chez la femme, c'est rendu qu'on le voit fin trentaine, début quarantaine. Et ça, il y a plein de conditions en plus de celle-là qui sont dues à un niveau de testostérone trop élevé dans le corps. Et donc, ça vient souvent de la cause racine, selon elle, qui est cette croyance-là, j'en fais pas assez. Non, j'en fais pas assez encore. Elle dit, au lieu de se contenter, au lieu de se faire une vie qui nous comble, au lieu de mettre des limites saines, puis au lieu d'aller avec ce qui est là. Puis elle dit, ça va continuer de saper votre énergie féminine tant que vous ne conscientiserez pas qu'il n'y a pas d'autre façon que de rester dans le flot de qui vous êtes, des émotions, d'aller dans les émotions plus douces, l'acceptation. Puis elle dit tant que ça, il n'y a pas d'autre façon de vivre que ça pour être en alignement avec votre énergie féminine. Et elle dit que les blessures émotionnelles, tout ça, selon ce qu'elle nous partage, n'est guéri qu'à travers le fait d'entrer en connexion avec Shakti, l'énergie féminine, divine, sacrée à l'intérieur de nous. Et donc, elle dit, je veux que les femmes se posent comme question ce matin, quelles sont les façons simples pour vous que vous pourriez connecter avec cette énergie-là au quotidien et quel changement devrait se passer pour augmenter cette connexion-là? Et elle dit, tu sais, Marie-Hélène, il y a des femmes qui vont supprimer leur énergie féminine. Il y en a qui vont se battre constamment avec tout. Elle dit, c'est toutes des façons de survie apprises, c'est toutes des réflexes de réponse conditionnés, mais c'est au détriment de leur santé.
Yeah,
So
um,
you don't know, but we're suspended to your every word.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's showing up, you know. So I want to share another picture. Again, this is off Google because I try to protect the sanctity of the temples and not take pictures.
Okay.
But this is one of the most important pictures I would like to share. So this is of um, Vindhyavasini, and then she is the goddess who's situated in the Vindhyachal, right? So she is the goddess, and there is also another aspect in Kashi called Vishalakshi. So look at the big eyes, right? So this is the goddess who has big eyes. She's seated on a lion, you know, she can see everything. So it's the fierce form of the goddess. So when we talk about feminine energy, right, there are different aspects to it. And an aspect of the feminine energy means being in flow, being calm, being composed, but an aspect of the feminine energy also makes means that you have to stop the wrong things in its tracks, right? Just being at the receiving end does not mean feminine energy. So this is also something I just wanted to clarify a little bit, because when we talk about the masculine versus the feminine energy, you know, the energies are very different than the roles that are gender defined in the culture, right? So being in your feminine energy does not mean being in the victim mode, just having somebody do not so nice things to you and not even be able to voice yourself. There are different aspects of the goddess that you will have to embody at different times of your life. And one of the most important things why you need to connect with this goddess is to really connect with your own intellect, right? So when we talk about pradnya, you know, your inner knowledge, your inner guidance, a lot of the aspects, buddhi, you know, that's your wisdom. So these are all feminine words in Sanskrit, right? So I would believe that these are dedicated to the Shakti, the divine essence, the divine feminine, your feminine wisdom. You can call it by different names, but all this buddhi, your intelligence, pradnya, which is your inner intellect, right? And in Ayurveda, we talk about pradnya, pradha, as one of the three main causes of
Cause of
disease.
disease, yeah.
Yeah. So you're going against your inner wisdom. You're going against that inner divine feminine, that aspect of her who's always telling you to do the right things, to stand by the right things and hold in your power, right? So it being in the power of the divine feminine does not mean unnecessary fighting, but it does not even mean staying quiet when there is injustice happening, whether it's to yourself or somebody else. So you have to be able to navigate this with your own connection within. And that is why it's very important for you to develop that connection, for each and every one of us to develop that connection. You know, when to voice your opinion, when not to voice your opinion. So this is only something that your discriminatory and you know, power. In Ayurveda, we talk about dhi, buddhi, dhruti, which is the power of retention, right? Then we talk about smriti, memory, but all these, you know, all the discriminatory energies, all of these are very feminine words, and they are also an aspect of that feminine divine energy, right? So, again, extremely, extremely important to connect with your inner wisdom. Before we move to the three goddesses, yeah, if you want to translate this part and
Yes, absolutely. So, alors, elle nous a montré. Can you put the picture again of
Vindhyavasini, yeah.
Vidyavasani? Thank you. Vidyavasani, thank you. Alors, elle nous a montré, Dr Manjiri, une déesse qui s'appelle Vidyavasani. Et on voit dans le haut de l'image ici des yeux et le visage noir. Et la déesse est sur un lion qu'on peut voir la tête plus bas. Et elle dit elle dit, c'est pour montrer, et c'est une des déesses aussi, comment, en étant dans votre pouvoir d'énergie féminine divine, en étant dans la puissance de Shakti, c'est quand même une déesse qui représente l'énergie divine, mais très combative. Et c'est pour illustrer à quel point vous allez devoir, puis cette déesse-là est reconnue pour combattre, arrêter ce qu'il y a de mauvais dans le monde. Et donc, l'énergie féminine, à différents moments, vous allez devoir incarner différents aspects de l'énergie féminine sacrée. Et elle disait, vous savez, l'énergie féminine divine, c'est très différent des genres qu'on voit dans la société. Alors, pour une femme, ça ne veut pas dire d'être en mode victime. Par moment, il va falloir dénoncer ce qui est mauvais. Et si tu es victime, puis tu ne peux jamais parler, puis donner une voix à ta position dans la société, bien, ce n'est pas de ça qu'on parle en termes d'énergie féminine sacrée. Ça veut dire que par moment, tu vas, puis elle dit en Ayurveda, il y a des termes très spécifiques qui désignent ça. Donc, Bodhi qui est la sagesse, Prajna Parada qui est l'intelligence ou l'intellect, et Prajna Parada en Ayurveda, je vous le rappelle, c'est la cause première de toutes les maladies. C'est toutes les fois où l'intellect échoue pour faire les bons choix. C'est la première cause qui nous entraîne vers la maladie. Hein. Souvent, on sait ce qui est bon pour nous, on ne le fait pas. Donc, c'est pour ça que l'Ayurveda reconnaît que c'est la cause première de la maladie. Et donc, vous devez, alors toutes les fois que comme femme, vous allez contre votre sagesse intérieure, contre votre intellect, contre ce que vous savez être pour votre plus grand bien, bien, vous êtes en train de vous blesser. Elle dit, c'est pour ça que pour naviguer correctement la vie tout en étant en santé, puis en santé parfaite et optimale, bien, c'est important que vous connectez à votre Shakti intérieur, que vous restez en connexion avec votre énergie féminine sacrée en tout temps, parce que ça va vous guider à savoir quand parler et quand vous taire, entre autres, et dans les bons choix pour toi. So you can keep going. So I wanted to know, do you? So now we've talked about why it's important to connect with Shakti in today's challenging times. Do you want to tell us what are some daily rituals that you would see or that you would like for us to try maybe in order to connect?
Yeah, so there are several, rituals that you could do to connect with the divine feminine Shakti. One of the ones is a morning mantra, right? So again, you could start the day by any invocation, right? It doesn't have to. Sanskrit mantras, Vedic mantras are very popular. So you can do a Lakshmi mantra or a Saraswati mantra or a Kali mantra, but you have to be prepared, right? So again, when you're invoking a goddess, you're trying to channelize that energy in yourself. So before the rituals, I really wanted to talk a bit about the three aspects. So
Yeah.
if I can share my screen and I'll talk about different aspects of the goddess so you get a better idea what you really need to be invoking. Uh, okay. Yeah.
So you could invoke, just to make sure I noted right, Sarasvati, Kali, and Lakshmi, correct?
Yeah. So these are the three aspects of the goddess. So if you look at the Vedic culture, you'll find several hundreds and hundreds of different goddesses, matrikas. There are the Dasha Mahavidya, 10 wisdom goddesses. You'll find the Nava Durga, 9 aspects of the goddess. So you could connect with anyone, and at the end they're all aspects of the greater divine feminine. We call it Adi Shakti, the primordial divine feminine. So there is the one that created everything, right? So these are the facets of her that we are seeing, and often these are easier for people to understand because of the symbolism, and they are also popular because of their symbolism. So when we talk about Mahalakshmi, Mahalakshmi is the greater Lakshmi. She signifies abundance and prosperity. So during Diwali, you may have seen her with Ganesha is always along with her, so they both symbolize a lot of abundance and prosperity. So if you are looking at wealth, if you're looking at harmony in relationships, if you're looking at any material well-being that helps you on this plane, if you want to create loving relationships with your family, if you want to create that sense of abundance around you, and again, peace is very important aspect of abundance as well, right? So emotional peace, spiritual peace, a lot of generosity, your manifesting, manifestation is extremely like a key word today, right? When you are trying to manifest a lot of the worldly material, right? Oh, I need the best job possible for me. That's where you are going to be focusing on Shri Mahalakshmi. And again, Mahalakshmi is abundance and prosperity in all aspects of your life, right? So this is the first step. It's on the material plane. Like, this is the first step. Now, Mahalakshmi represents a lot of the Rajasic energy, right? Rajas, we talk about in Ayurveda, we
Yes.
discuss the three gunas. We talk about sattva, we talk about rajas, and we talk about tamas.
Ah,
So money is something that's going to come and be spent, right? So when we talk about material, abundance, you have to share it as well, right?
money
You
comes, money goes.
Money comes, money goes, and money can be put to a lot of good uses, like donations to the needy. um, if you believe in something, a project, you're going to need the finances to be able to support it, right?
Right.
If some of your loved ones are struggling, to be able to help them, to be able to better care for them, even your daily needs. So there is nothing unspiritual about money or non-spiritual about money. Money itself is also spiritual, right? Because it can help you do a lot of good things. You don't have to feel negative about asking money. Again, this is something we see in a lot of practitioners
Yeah.
of Ayurveda.
Yeah.
We see this in a lot of yoga teachers where sometimes they have an aversion to money. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want money feels dirty. Money is not dirty. It's the energy of abundance. It's the blessing of Sri Mahalakshmi,
I,
right?
I right. And I just want to thank you for this. And because of that, a lot of colleagues or fellow yoga teachers, or because of that false belief,
Yeah,
they end up not practicing their dharma.
yeah,
Yeah. So I just want to say something, and it's just humor. I remember meeting a vice president of a big organization, and he said to me one day, and that always stick to me. He said to me, "You have to understand, Marie, money is my friend." and and it led me. At first, I was struck by the sentence because I thought, and this was someone I really liked. He was somebody of integrity and building a vision,
yeah,
and it reflected back to me that I wasn't sure that I had made money a friend,
yeah,
you know? And when you're speaking of acceptance, and I believe this is so guided that we're having that conversation right now, because right now I believe 2025 will be the year that people will harvest all their big work they've done in 2024
hmm,
and their big transformation, personal transformation. I truly believe that. And if we're not in a place where we're accepting, we feeling we deserve this because we want to help with it and it's one
yeah.
more tool, then we might miss the booms that are going to come. So
Yeah, and perfectly said, when we talk about self-worth, right? A lot of women equate abundance, a lot of women equate self-worth to material things, right? And if you have a block receiving that material prosperity, right? If you are opposed to the idea, again, these are all false beliefs, and in some way you are not connected to your feminine energy, right? If
uh,
you are not blessed with abundance, if you have no idea where food is going to come on your table, you are not going to be able to connect with your own spirit, because that is going to consume you. If you don't have a roof over your head, if you don't know how you're going to pay your next bill, there is no way are you going to be able to practice any spirituality, connect to your greater spirit, right? Because you're always going to be caught in the basics. How do I feed myself? How do I pay my bills? You can't meditate, you can't connect internally when you are in so much dire stress. So the level one of, you know, spirituality, I believe, will start with Goddess Lakshmi, right? So if you are someone who's starting, who's looking for abundance, who's really struggling from a material perspective, who's really struggling from a relationship perspective, so anything that's happening in our day-to-day lives on this plane, you know, relationships also make us feel abundant and happy. These are
So,
sources of joy.
so let's make Lakshmi the deity that we need to go to for in closing to 2024.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we're all back to level one. No, but
yeah.
I gotta do humor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, definitely. And, again, we all at some level have a lot of beliefs that we inculcated growing up, either through our parents or our siblings or grandparents, that are not in um in sync with abundance.
Correct.
Everybody has one small belief somewhere where either I don't deserve it, or oh, it's going to take too much work, or so you could have different beliefs that are stopping this natural flow of abundance, whether
Yes.
it's your relationship, whether it's your finances, whether it's related to your home, whether it's related. And I still struggle with some too, right? So I'm being completely honest that everybody does struggle with some aspects, but I could have never been able to take the trip without being abundant, without being able to take time off work, without being able to pay for the tickets, visit all these places. So whether you want to do something for yourself, your own spirituality, you first have to seek the blessings of Mahalakshmi, that everything materially is really good, right? Everything on this plane is really good. Now I'm going to go one step beyond it.
Okay, so let me just translate that level one. And Maha means in Sanskrit
Maha
big.
is greater,
Great.
all encompassing could be another word for it, right? So I'm just going to have this. Yeah.
Perfect. So let me just translate. Alors, avant d'aller dans les rituels quotidiens que vous allez pouvoir faire pour augmenter votre énergie divine, et elle avait commencé, Dr Manjiri, à expliquer, entre autres, de réciter des mantras le matin. Donc, les mantras védiques sont très populaires. Et on peut réciter des mantras à Saraswati, à Kali ou à Lakshmi, entre autres. Et en fait, mais on doit être prêt. On doit être prêt avant d'aller dans ces rituels-là, et entre autres à réciter des mantras. Et elle expliquait que pourquoi? Parce qu'elle dit quand tu veux réciter des mantras, tu veux, en d'autres mots, canaliser l'énergie de de ces aspects de Dieu-là, hein, de ces divinités-là, de ces énergies-là à l'intérieur de toi. Et donc, elle expliquait que il y a trois aspects de Shakti qu'il faut comprendre. Elle dit il y a trois niveaux. Elle dit le premier niveau, elle dit si tu ne peux pas manger, si tu n'as pas de toit au-dessus de ta tête, ça va être très difficile d'être dans ton énergie divine sacrée. Ça va être très difficile d'épanouir au niveau spirituel. Donc, elle dit le niveau 1, elle dit c'est que tu vas te tourner vers une pratique de dévotion et spirituelle envers Lakshmi. Donc, Mahalakshmi, qui veut dire grande, celle qui est omniprésente, Lakshmi, donc donc Mahalakshmi. Elle dit, c'est elle que tu vas invoquer pour de l'harmonie dans tes relations, des biens matériels, les besoins matériels, la paix, et la paix spirituelle, la paix émotionnelle, la paix sur tes finances, la générosité, si tu veux un meilleur travail pour toi. Et elle a dit également, c'est ton, si tu as fait des blocages pour ton estime personnelle, alors ça va être vraiment là que tu vas aller invoquer parce qu'on se fait tellement ramasser avec des fausses croyances. Et je lui disais, puis très jeune, tu sais, les femmes, on a comme ces croyances-là par rapport à l'argent. Puis, it's important to remember too, and I'm just going to translate that right back in French. But I keep saying to women, it's only from the past 100 years that women are able to earn their own money and dispose of it.
Yeah.
So it's so normal that we still have, we're still confused about money, and we're good when it's time for budgeting because we've always done that. But when it's time for really opening us to all the abundance that's there for us, I really truly believe that it's so new for us somewhere. So let me just translate. Donc, je lui disais que c'est tellement nouveau pour nous, les femmes, l'argent. Puis on l'oublie, mais ça fait seulement 100 ans ou à peu près que les femmes peuvent gagner leur propre argent et en disposer comme elles le veulent. Donc, c'est normal cette confusion-là, mais si vous ressentez des blocages, alors vous ne serez pas capable de connecter à cette énergie divine-là qui est la prospérité, qui est l'harmonie, qui est l'abondance en tout, peut être capable de subvenir aux besoins. C'est une déité féminine, Lakshmi, donc ça serait le niveau 1 d'invocation. Et en passant, ces trois aspects-là de Shakti, c'est comme on a Adi Shakti, qui est l'aspect primordial de l'énergie féminine sacrée en Inde, mais on a donné trois facettes, donc Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati et Mahakali, parce que pour la symbolique, c'était plus facile pour les hindous de comprendre les trois aspects de l'énergie féminine sacrée de cette énergie primordiale-là qui est Adi Shakti. Donc, alors, le niveau 1, ça serait d'invoquer Lakshmi. So you can keep on continuing. Thank you.
I wanted to quickly ask how much time do we have?
Oh, we can take.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
amazing. It's an
yeah.
amazing interview.
So again, this is open to interpretations too, right? But this is like my thoughts around it. Another aspect where we talk about Lakshmi or invoking Lakshmi is to be able to receive, right? So receiving help. I have seen so many women struggling today without even letting the other, women know about it, right? So I connected with a friend of mine yesterday after, I don't know, like 7, 8 years, and I had no idea how difficult times she was going through, right? And all I was telling her is, why didn't you call me then? All you had to do was just call me, right? I may have just listened to you. I may not have been able to maybe support you, but emotionally I could have supported you, right? So you also have to be able to receive help, be open to receiving, right? So receiving also, whether it's abundance, whether it's finances, whether it's just some emotional support, right? So everything that you're talking about on this plane, that's making you thrive. You have to go above just the survival, but anything that makes you thrive, we look at Lakshmi for it, right? If you look at her symbol, look at, she's sitting on a lotus, right? So lotus always rises. If you look at the lotus pond, it's all mud, and then there is this lotus that is untouched by the mud, right? So no matter how difficult your circumstances are, no matter how challenging you have been, what challenges you have been given, what cards you have been dealt in life, to be able to rise above that, to be able to be connected with yourself, to understand, what do I need to do? How do I need to get that support? You can start invoking Goddess Saraswati.
Wow. Wow. So you're saying Saraswati, you're referring to Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Lakshmi. So we go to Saraswati next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
I'm a Westerner. I can be
Yeah,
easily lost.
yeah,
Okay. So let me just translate.
yeah.
Alors, elle disait aussi qu'un des aspects de Lakshmi, c'est de vous aider à être capable de recevoir de l'aide sur tous les plans. Elle dit que vous, peu importe si vous avez des défis à n'importe quel niveau, puis elle dit, j'ai appelé une amie, Puis elle dit, les femmes, on le dit pas quand on a besoin d'aide, on le dit encore pas assez. Puis elle dit, je parlais à une de mes amies avec qui j'avais pas parlé depuis longtemps, puis elle dit, j'arrêtais pas d'y dire, mais pourquoi tu m'as pas appelé? Elle dit, j'aurais peut-être pas pu t'aider financièrement, mais émotionnellement, j'aurais pu certainement t'aider. Pourquoi tu m'as pas appelé? Donc, elle dit, si vous voulez du support, si vous voulez n'importe quel, puis être capable de recevoir, être capable de recevoir. Et je disais tout à l'heure à Dr Manjiri, je disais que ma conviction la plus grande, c'est qu'en 2025, les femmes, nous allons, tout le monde qui a travaillé fort en 2024 pour leur transformation, pour cheminer, pour guérir, en 2025, on va avoir une récolte. Je suis absolument certaine de ça. Puis je disais, si tu n'as pas travaillé ta capacité à recevoir, ben, on va vouloir te donner, ou tu vas recevoir un héritage, ou tu vas recevoir quelque, puis tu vas pas l'accueillir, tu vas pas l'accepter, tu vas t'auto-saboter, tu sais. Donc, elle disait que la déesse Lakshmi, on l'a pris aussi pour ça et on l'invoque pour ça. Et elle faisait remarquer sur l'image que Lakshmi est toujours, presque toujours représentée assise dans un lotus. Et pourquoi elle est assise dans une fleur de lotus qui grandit dans un étang, dans de la boue? C'est parce que même si tu regardes un étang plein de boue, la fleur de lotus, elle n'est jamais touchée. Et donc, elle disait, peu importe vos challenges, peu importe vos défis, vous devez être capable de vous élever au-dessus de ça et vous allez être capable. Et Lakshmi va vous aider à le faire. Elle est toujours représentée par Ganesha. Ganesh qui est l'éléphant aussi, hein, qui enlève les obstacles, mais qui aussi s'assure que vous passez à travers les bonnes portes. Il est en charge des seuils de portes qu'on va traverser, des portails. Et donc, alors, le lotus est intouché et comme vous ne serez pas touché par les défis, par les challenges. Si vous invoquez Lakshmi puis vous prenez de la hauteur par rapport à ça, même si vous êtes dans un étang de boue. So, sure, we can
Yeah.
keep going.
So the next goddess in the sequence is Saraswati, right? So Saraswati is representing Sattva, right? Sattva is for clarity, Sattva is for vision, Sattva is for purity. You see a beautiful peacock behind her. She is, this instrument is called Veena. So it's the primordial guitar, you know, with a very sweet sound. So sound vibration started in the beginning. Sound healing, you can connect with that as well. It's a white lotus. She's seated on a swan as well. Swan is a bird in the Hindu mythology. We believe that if you mix water and milk and give it to a swan, the swan is only going to be able to drink milk, right? So this symbolizes the discriminatory energy. What is good versus what is bad, right? When we talk about Ayurvedic Pradnya Pradha, your intellect, you're committing a crime against your intellect. Pradnya means your own inner intellect. Aparadha is a mistake or a crime, right? You're not listening to your inner guidance. You're avoiding listening to that. And then you're going to pay for the consequences, right? So every action is going to have a reaction. And that's exactly how karma is based, um, so to be able to get that discriminatory power, what is good for me, what is not, what is aligned with my path, what is my purpose, right? When we talk about women's issues today, like self-esteem, right? If you are comparing yourself with a man, or if you're comparing yourself with even other women, right? See, you cannot compare apples to oranges. You cannot compare a bamboo tree to a banana tree, right? So you just cannot, because everybody is unique. That's what Ayurveda believes in. So when we fall into this trap of working against our wisdom, working against the divine wisdom, right? To clear all that clutter in your brain, right? So from the materials plane, we are rising a little bit above into the discriminatory power. And we are looking at Mahasaraswati. If you look at her hand, she's also holding um, a book, the Vedas, or she's holding a lot of knowledge. So she has the key to your inner knowledge. So that is where you can invoke the goddess Saraswati. And there is a festival dedicated to Mahasaraswati, in spring called Vasant Panchami. So the fifth day in Vasant is the spring type festival. So that's where you can ask for her blessings, when you can ask for her clarity, right? If you are stuck in life, if you have no idea what's going around you, if you feel like a headless chicken, just keep going around, doing things without really understanding why. If you feel disconnected with yourself, if you feel a loss of balance, right? If you feel stuck creatively, creativity is also a gift of the goddess, and that is also symbolized by the veena that she's carrying, or the instrument that she's carrying. um, she also, in several other iconographies, she'll also carry prayer beads, right? So prayer beads denote spiritual knowledge, right? You're rising above the material plane. Now you're getting more in touch with yourself. The first part of the life where we are governed by kapha, as we grow in Ayurveda. Then the second part, like when we look at the second part, like midlife, you're constantly pushing and striving for material success, right? And then as you reach your 40s, sometimes 50s for some people, then you really want to find the meaning of life, because now you're materially stable. Now you're one step ahead. So now you're really looking at what's the meaning of my life? What's going to create more inner harmony, inner peace? What's my purpose? What's my life path? How can I grow? How can I learn? How can I center my intellect, right, on the right things, use it on the right things, right? So all this concentration, meditation, inner connection, Goddess Saraswati is going to grant you, understanding the truth from the illusion. We all look at social media today. We all look at different newspapers, and everybody's pushing their agendas, right? And we don't know what's right, what's wrong, and then you get caught up in it and you get worked up in it. You may start paying for subscriptions, so somebody else is making money and they're falsely promoting things. So to see behind the veil, right, of that illusion, you need to invoke Goddess Saraswati.
Okay, so let me just translate. I've got tons of notes. It's fascinating. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're most welcome.
I hope everybody's enjoying it. And guys, you all, if you enjoy this interview, please share, so we can all grow into harmony and into being open and being curious and being welcoming of different avenues to find peace and to be in peace and to be one in the heart of God, the way it takes shape for you. So, la deuxième façon d'avancer sur le chemin spirituel, c'est maintenant envers le deuxième aspect de Shakti qui est Maha Saraswati. Donc, la déesse Saraswati représente Sattva. Sattva, c'est la paix. C'est cet état d'esprit-là imperturbé qui est dans la quiétude. Et elle est représentée ici avec l'instrument Vina, qui est la guitare primordiale, hein, si on veut, le premier son cosmique. Et quand on fait, par exemple, des guérisons sonores, c'est en invoquant la déesse Saraswati. Elle est assise sur un cygne. Et pourquoi on voit un cygne dans le bas? C'est qu'on dit dans la mythologie hindoue que si on donne the swan will drink only the milk, correct?
Only the milk, yeah.
Donc, on dit dans la mythologie hindoue que si on donne de l'eau et du lait à un cygne, il va boire que le lait. Et ça, c'est en référence au fait que, et encore, on parle de prajna aparada, donc on a parlé tout à l'heure. Donc, quand on fait un crime contre notre intellect et donc ce qu'on sait qui devrait être bon pour nous. D'ailleurs, c'est la base du karma et qu'on agit quand on est déconnecté de nous. Elle disait que Saraswati, on l'invoque pour le discernement. Donc, par exemple, quand les femmes, on se compare aux autres, on compare le succès des autres ou ce qu'une autre a ou sur les médias sociaux, le rayonnement d'une femme versus nous. Donc, et quand on devient critique, bien, ça, l'Ayurveda reconnaît qu'on est tous uniques. Et donc, on voit ici Saraswati qui tient un livre. C'est un livre de sagesse, c'est un livre des Védas, entre autres, et c'est des textes d'écriture sacrée. Et ça signifie qu'elle a la clé pour votre connaissance intérieure. Il y a même un festival en Inde au printemps à l'honneur de Saraswati. Et on dit que c'est à ce moment-là qu'on peut demander ses bénédictions. Mais pas que. Donc, si vous êtes prise dans votre tête, si vous sentez comme une poule pas de tête, si vous êtes tu sais, ça avance pas, vous êtes bloqué au niveau créatif. C'est pour ça qu'elle est symbolisée, entre autres, avec une guitare. Ben, et puis, si vous êtes aussi entre 40 et 50 ans et que vous êtes en train, comme dans cette phase de vie-là, et c'est reconnu par l'Ayurveda, en train de chercher le sens de votre vie, votre chemin, ben, avec Saraswati, c'est là que vous allez être capable de connecter à votre dharma, avec ce que vous êtes venu contribuer ici, à la méditation, à la vérité derrière l'illusion. Et Dr Manjiri disait que dans la société, sur les médias sociaux, on s'abonne à des médias, puis chacun est en train de pousser son propre agenda, puis il y a tellement de bruit, on n'est plus capable de trouver la vérité. On n'est plus capable d'avoir de discernement tellement qu'il y a du bruit, puis on n'est pas capable de distinguer le vrai de l'illusion. Alors, c'est à ce moment-là qu'on va invoquer Saraswati. So, do you
Yeah,
want,
so
do you
yeah,
want
so any students, if you are somebody who's looking for academic success, right? If you're looking for focus, if you're looking for discipline, if you're an artist, a musician, a writer, you're looking for creativity, original inspiration, authenticity, right? If you are looking for who am I, what's really going on with me, why am I born, what's my purpose? So, to get that knowledge to go towards your inner discovery, Saraswati would be the one you would pray to. The next in the sequence is Mahakali, right? So now this is the fiercest of the goddess, and she represents destruction, right? So what is born, what or who is born will one day have to leave as well, right? You have to merge into that darkness, which is only going to lead to another birth. So in the Vedic culture, we believe that, the soul is immortal, but the
give me,
body, yeah.
give me just 1 second. I can feel the heat of the goddesses working through me. I need to open a window.
Okay.
I feel the energy moving. Okay.
That's
Ah,
Mahakali for you.
oh, for sure, that's Mahakali. And
Yeah.
by the way, I'm cutting you, I know, but before you go into Mahakali, I want you to share with us that in India, the culture recognizes the presence of asuras and the presence of demons.
Yeah.
And we have been feeling, whether you believe in demons energy, but everybody on some level
Yeah.
in 2024 that I've spoken with,
Yeah.
voiced the fact that, bad exists and evil-willed actions have been more noticeable than we've ever seen. And because this is a lack of not studying
Yeah.
wisdom
Yeah.
and not taking the time to slow down and discriminate. And so, if ever you want a voice, because I was really moved studying Ayurveda, that it was written by doctors, written by really high scholars in India and in our Western world that have studied ancient Vedic scriptures that were saying, we're in the first era where we are not learning protection from, not thinking correctly.
Yeah.
And we're in an era where even saying something is bad is now bad.
Yeah.
You know, so please continue, but if you can take a word on speak about that, I would love that.
Yeah, see, where good exists, bad is going to be, life is always going to be dual, right? And wherever there is the good energy, there is going to be the fierce energy as well. Asuras are powerful beings who will hold a lot of power but utilize it for the wrong reasons, right? But then you will also have sages who have a lot of power, or devas, celestial beings who have a lot of power but utilize it for the positive reasons, upliftment of the world, right? So there are always going to be those two energies. And I believe that at every point, both of these energies are going to keep attracting the humans. So are you going to the path that's leading to the greater goodness, leading to your own goodness, your own stability, right? Or are you on a path where it's going to destroy everybody else, but maybe give you lots of material?
Yeah.
Right? So, what path are you on? And again, that's why you need that discriminatory energy. What seems those quick make money schemes, people buy into so many things, people buy into false beliefs, people buy into um, even there is so much spiritual trauma. That's also something that nobody addresses it. There are people posing as spiritual gurus or uh, priests, or in different across different cultures, right?
Yeah,
I'm not only talking
absolutely.
about Hinduism, across different cultures posing as spiritual leaders who may in fact be exploiting others, right? So it is here you need that discriminatory, that Saraswati Shakti, to be able to understand the good versus the bad, right? And in Ayurveda, even if you go in the olden days, you would learn Ayurveda from a teacher, right? Um, Even in Ayurveda, it talks about you have to test the guru before you accept him as the guru, right? All of the Vedic culture, you will have to test the guru to see if the guru is aligned with you as well. So it's not that you just blindly go see somebody, get fascinated, and become a student,
Yeah.
right?
And let me just interrupt you for 1 second. And after I'll translate before we go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll let you finish, but then I'll translate. I just want to say, guru has been so just the term, and I just want to clarify that we're all on the same page. When you look up the definition of guru, it means a master, somebody who's become masterful in something. It's not like somebody who's going to, have you do a spiritual initiation and do sacrifices and do this. Is all we're referring to here.
yeah,
We go to a guru because we believe that person is a master in their discipline,
yeah,
and we want oral transmission and that impartation of that knowledge into us,
yeah,
and it's going to go quicker
yeah,
than if you want to do their 60 years
yeah, yeah,
of studying the knowledge.
yeah.
So this is what we're referring to when we're speaking about guru. So you
Yeah,
can.
and a true guru, is possessed by sattva. So a true guru may or may not even take you as a disciple. He or she will only take you if you're advanced enough and if they know that you're on your path, right? So it's not for a fashion or a fad. Everybody today is looking for a guru for a, I don't know, these things have become so popular today, right?
I
So
I
it's
Google. It's almost a snob thing. Like you know,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm so
Clout,
rich.
chasing clout or whatever you say, but that's not how it works, right? A true guru is not going to exploit you for monetary or other gains, right? So you have to be very careful in such a scenario. And again, this is, people posing falsely. That's also the work of the demons, I would say, or asuras, or the negative energy, right? And there is existence of negative energy, there is existence of positive energy, and that is a fantastic way to talk about Kali, right? Because uh, she's the one that's going to take away all your attachments. You know, she's the one who's going to carry you from this life to the other. She's the one who is the fiercest form of the goddess, right? So you have seen Lakshmi, very beautiful, glowing, seated peacefully. Saraswati is again very loving, giving, you know. And then you see the fierce form of Kali, but there are times where you have to be able to defeat certain qualities inherent in you, right? There are times where an example is, you know, somebody struggling with a kind of addiction. You know, you need fierce energy, you know, sometimes, you know, a soothing energy, like think about it, you know, you're a kid, and again, I was grown up this way, you know, and again, in today's world, this may be a lot, I don't know, inappropriate, right? But as kids, you know, if you would do some mischief, your mom would scold you,
Yeah.
right? And then once or twice, and if you keep repeating the same mistake, if you keep repeating the same thing, you know, you would get one whack, right? So I don't recommend anybody whack their kids, but that's how we grew. And you will remember that one whack over the time she pleaded with you not to do something which was not right, right? So this is that fiery bolt energy
Yeah.
that will come and transform you, and that will cut all that false beliefs. That she will create that detachment. So if you are not in a place in your life, do not invoke Kali right now. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Let me just translate before we continue, because I don't want to lose everything you said. That is amazing. So, ah, OK, thank you so much. Alors, je voulais continuer avec la traduction, puis merci de votre patience, hein, parce que des fois, on est dans le vif d'un sujet, puis je ne veux pas laisser l'idée de Manjiri. Donc, ici, on regarde la troisième étape. En fait, une des autres, vous n'êtes pas obligé de les mettre dans l'ordre, mais c'est sûr que Lakshmi doit venir en premier. Vous pourriez aussi vous tourner dans vos mantras et dans votre dévotion à Mahakali, qui est ici celle qu'on voit qui est très combative, qui est complètement différente des autres. Une qui est très qui aide à recevoir, qui aide à harmoniser tout ça, et Saraswati qui est à propos du discernement, mais encore très aimante et douce. Ici, on est dans une déité qui est très combative, qui est très guerrière, et elle dit, elle représente la destruction. Donc, il faut comprendre qu'il y a dans la culture hindoue des asuras. Ça veut dire des gens, des énergies, pardon, qui vont vouloir beaucoup de pouvoir comme les déités, mais qui vont les utiliser dans une mauvaise énergie et pour créer du tort. Et donc, laissez-moi juste continuer dans mes notes. Et donc, elle expliquait que elle dit, moi, je crois qu'il va toujours avoir les deux énergies, donc le bon et le mauvais, qui vont continuer d'attirer les humains. Mais dans la culture hindoue, on reconnaît les présences des démons, hein, qui sont les asuras, et du bien, qui sont les dévis ou les déités. Et donc, et la question qu'on pose sans arrêt dans les sagesses hindoues, euh, sur quel chemin que tu es? Est-ce que tu es sur le chemin d'acquérir beaucoup de matériel, mais dans le but de détruire? Ou encore, tu es dans le chemin de vouloir te tourner vers le bien, le beau, le juste, le sacré? Et donc, elle dit en ce moment, entre autres, on voit beaucoup de traumas spirituels. Donc, il y a plein de gens qui posent en leader spirituel, euh, mais ils sont là pour exploiter les autres et dans un but d'en retirer un gain. Elle dit dans l'époque ancienne, elle dit en Ayurveda, avant, c'est même écrit dans les textes, avant de prendre un gourou, on devait tester le gourou. Et encore aujourd'hui, on dit avant de prendre un gourou, on teste un gourou. Maintenant, pour être sûr qu'on est sur la même page, le terme gourou signifie quelqu'un qui est devenu un maître dans une discipline. OK? On ne parle pas de gourou dans une secte, là, on parle de se tourner vers quelqu'un qui est reconnu comme étant un maître. Just a quick question before I finish the translation. Is it true, Manjiri, that we say that a guru, when they take their student, the guru takes on the karma of the student? Is that exact?
They can. And they're responsible, right? So that is one of the reasons, I don't deal with like teach anybody mantras and stuff, or yeah. So when there is a proper initiation,
Yes.
they are responsible for you, right? So it's almost like they become your spiritual parents, or you become the guru's spiritual children, right? So
Correct.
how a parent is responsible for a younger child till
Yeah.
they come to an age where they know better, right? The guru is going to be responsible for your spiritual journey till the time you become spiritually aware, and then you can move on, right?
And
Yeah.
so, so it is true that you have to be initiated to mantras, correct?
Again, there are different schools of thought, and initiation is always, in certain schools, like definitely, there are initiations that will, it's a ritual where you then become linked with that guru, or that guru accepts you,
Okay.
right? So, yeah. And just
No,
a
but I meant in order to practice some mantras, do you have to be initiated to those mantras?
not for every,
Okay.
right? So certain, but one important aspect of the Vedic, mantras is that when we talk about Sanskrit as a language, it's a very phonetic language. Every word has a vibration and the pronunciation should be correct, right? So if you start with something simple mantras, like if you're doing an Om chanting, you can do it on yourself. You can try, so don't see, there are several ways to look at it. I mean, this itself is a big topic, but I
Okay.
believe that simple mantra with consistency is going to give you more impact than trying to push for fancier. So it's not about how much I know.
Yeah, correct. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Alors, en Ayurveda, donc, il existe le principe de tester son gourou avant de prendre le gourou. Et donc, habituellement, un gourou qui est sincère dans sa démarche, on va sentir qu'il est pris par sa toi. Donc, on va sentir que c'est rendu quelqu'un qui est rendu très en harmonie, très équilibré, très dans la quiétude, qui est très centré et aligné. Et donc, le gourou, s'il est dans son intégrité, il va vous prendre seulement s'il sent que vous êtes sur votre chemin. Et le gourou, on dit en Inde, dans la culture hindoue, dans l'hindouisme, que le gourou va prendre le karma de son étudiant. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Ça se peut qu'il prenne son karma dans le sens que le gourou, il va se tisser un lien de gourou à étudiant. Et comme le parent qui est responsable, s'il devenait un parent spirituel, si on veut, de cet enfant-là, et lui est l'enfant spirituel de ce gourou-là, et il y a un lien très particulier, très nourrissant, très protecteur qui va se tisser. Et donc, oui, il y a une forme de responsabilité jusqu'à temps que cette personne-là arrive à l'âge adulte spirituel de cette relation-là qui est très profonde et dans laquelle il y a un apprentissage. Euh, et donc, en ce moment, il y a des gens, c'est un des grands torts, c'est qu'il y a des gens qui posent en bonne image d'eux-mêmes et pourtant, ils n'ont pas atteint ce statut-là intérieur. Et Manjiri a dit, il va tout le temps avoir cette énergie positive et négative-là dans le monde. Et elle a dit, si vous priez donc Mahakali, cette déesse-là, cette déité-là. Donc, à ce moment-là, elle va enlever vos attachements. Elle va défaire en vous les qualités qui sont négatives, par exemple des addictions. C'est elle que vous invoqueriez. Et de la même façon, elle disait quand on est jeune, tu sais, si on fait un mauvais coup, notre mère va nous réprimander. Elle dit, mais dans une époque où on était plus jeune, elle dit, puis aujourd'hui, c'est pas dans la culture, puis elle dit, je recommanderais pas ça à personne. Mais à l'époque, où on était plus jeune, quand on faisait un mauvais coup, ça se peut que notre mère nous prenait par le bras ou nous donnait une petite tape, là. Elle dit, puis là, tu te souvenais de ça, tu sais. Fait qu'elle dit, la mère Kali va vous transformer et surtout va vous amener à être très détaché. So you can keep on going.
Yeah, so just a little talk about the guru, right?
Yeah.
Because we were on that topic. So think about it as, when we are born and when we start learning about everything, your mom can sit down with you and she can teach you A for apple, She can teach you till a certain level, right? So maybe even grade 10 or something. Then as you advance, so in school you have so many students with one teacher, right? Then when you go to the university level, when you are into advanced studies, masters, if you're doing a PhD thesis, then you work one on one with a teacher who's an expert in the subject, you know, because that's the level required, right? Now, when we are born, again, in Vedic religion, we believe that we are a product of several lifetimes, right? So if I have done a mantra thousands and thousands of time in the previous birth, right, it's going to come to me naturally. So I may be born with the knowledge of grade 10 already, right? Or I may be born with the knowledge of kindergarten. Like I have never experienced it before. I've just done the basics, but this is my first time, right? So that will also determine. And as you go into advanced studies, you will require guidance. As you go into advanced mantras, you will require guidance of a guru. But what I really want to encourage everyone is start with the basics, right? Om is the universal mantra. Start with the basics and focus on the consistency. Focus on developing a practice where you're grounding yourself daily, right? We all want fancier things, it's the part of Kali Yuga, right? We all want the most challenging mantra, so you want to do a PhD thesis without even having a grade 4 knowledge, not going to work very well, right? But you perfect grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, and then you're going to be amazing at the thesis that you do when you reach that level, right?
Correct.
Otherwise, you try a PhD level thesis, but you don't know basic math.
Let me translate.
Yeah.
Donc, elle dit, je veux revenir sur le concept du gourou. Elle dit, vous savez, elle dit, quand on vient au monde, elle dit, nous, on croit dans la religion védique qu'on est le fruit de plusieurs vies passées. Elle dit, notre mère nous montre de la base dans notre éducation, P pour pomme et la couleur rouge. Mais elle dit, au fur et à mesure que vous allez grandir, vous allez même aller à l'école, puis vous allez faire une thèse de doctorat ou un baccalauréat ou des niveaux avancés d'études dans une discipline. Puis elle dit, il va arriver un moment où vous allez travailler avec un professeur un à un, parce que ce professeur-là est rendu un expert. Mais elle dit, c'est la même chose dans la religion védique. Vous allez vouloir poursuivre puis grandir, puis à un moment donné, travailler de manière plus rapprochée avec quelqu'un pour de la guidance en spiritualité. Et elle dit, avec les mantras, elle dit, parce qu'on va en parler, elle dit, commencez avec des choses qui sont de base. Elle dit, par exemple, le mantra Om, parce qu'elle dit, on croit, nous, que le sanskrit, parce que les mantras sont en sanskrit, c'est important de les dire correctement parce qu'ils ont un impact au niveau sonore et ils vont amener un effet. Donc, tant qu'à focusser sur les choses fancy puis difficiles, elle dit, j'aime mieux que vous preniez des mantras de base comme le Om, mais vous allez focuser sur la constance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to, so for us to close, to go slowly for the end of the interview, would you like us to review now the daily rituals that you would recommend?
Yeah. Can I quickly talk a little bit about Kali and then we definitely do that? Yeah. So Kali is, the fiercest form. And if you are struggling with something that's very challenging for you, that's very difficult for you, right? If you are into really bad habits where you need to destroy those habits, you need to destroy that ignorance. If you're looking for a huge transformation, then you are going to pray to Mahakali. But again, Mahakali is a very fierce, forceful energy that you need to be aware, right? So she's not as soft or soothing. So she will create sometimes, for the karma to be worked out as well. She'll create situations where there could be more challenges before things are cleared out, right? So, but ultimately, when we are going above the plane, so you started with all the material wisdom, then we came to our own understanding of ourselves, to understand spirituality, to go towards liberation, right? From And then we reach this level of Kali, which is the great goddess encompassing everything. So if you want to get rid of many lives and births, right? If you want to stop that constant cycle of pain, because no matter who's born on the earth, there is going to be some kind of a suffering around it, right? There will be happiness, but there's also going to be sadness. There's always going to be an illusion where you're living in, no matter how good you are, how good your intellect is developed, because that's the nature of the world. So to look at your final liberation, that's where Kali comes into play, right? On this plane, when would I recommend if somebody's struggling with deep-rooted addictions like substance abuse, or where you need a lot, like just the willpower is not going to help you. You need a fierce force that's beyond your own willpower, that's also beyond your own intellect, right? That kind of an energy you require if you are stuck in a fearful situation, dominated by somebody else, or there could be so many terrible situations, right? So if you want to navigate that, cut through that, that fearful force comes from the Kali. And now we will talk about simple ways on how you can connect with the goddess.
Okay, so let me just translate that
Yeah.
small part. That small part. Thank you. Alors, elle disait que Cali, là, pour vraiment encore plus clarifier, quand vous voulez, vous avez des mauvaises habitudes qui sont, puis des défis qui sont vraiment difficiles, quand vous voulez une grande transformation de vous-même, c'est important de savoir que c'est une grande force que vous invoquez et que ça se peut qu'il y ait plus de défis et que ça aille pire avant d'aller mieux quand vous invoquez Kali. Pourquoi? Parce qu'elle va faire en sorte que le karma se nettoie et donc, c'est Kali qu'on va invoquer pour une grande libération. Bibi, viens ici, couche ici. Et donc, alors, si vous avez des addictions qui sont enracinées très profondément, puis que juste votre volonté seule ne sera pas assez, là, puis votre intellect seul ne sera pas assez, c'est Kali que vous allez invoquer. Aussi, si vous êtes dans une situation qui est épeurante. Donc, où vous êtes dominé par quelqu'un. C'est avec Kali que vous allez travailler. Et là, on va rentrer dans les rituels que vous pouvez pratiquer quotidiennement pour posséder encore plus votre énergie féminine sacrée, travailler encore plus avec, et le pouvoir qui est Shakti, hein? Donc, la Shakti qui se trouve dans votre énergie féminine sacrée. So, let's move on to the rituals.
Yeah, so for various rituals, one of the main thing is creating a sacred space, right? So you have to create a really good space, and you want to make sure you pray in that space, because that's going to be channelized, that's going to be energized. So you want to make sure that you're always going to use the same space for the prayers, so not moving from one part to the other, right? So that's very important. And you can keep an image of the goddess. You can always set up an image of the goddess whom you are praying to, um, and that becomes very easy. So I'm just going to share a picture. Maybe I'll stop the screen and share another one.
I could talk about this for like days.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. But that's an image of goddess Durga, right? So these are all how traditional prayers are set up. There are various offerings again. Even in the Hindu culture, this will differentiate depending on, what region you come from, right? So this is like a Navratri setup where you're going to sow some like grains, and then the grains will sprout, and then you kind of pray to the goddess because she also signifies abundance. Simple ways I love to pray is, first is creating the space for it. So any space, red cloth is supposed to be very auspicious for the goddess, right? She likes red things. Red symbolizes prosperity.
And
So
that
having
Is that good for any goddess that I could use red?
Any goddess, yeah. Usually any goddess, yeah. Saraswati, you can go for white, but even setting up, the setup can be red for any goddess, right? Coconut, usually when we offer, coconut symbolizes our ego, our head, right? So coconut is representative of the human head, the human ego, the ignorance that's filled in your head. You're giving it all to the goddess. Um, there are five Panchamahabhutas. We talk about the five elements present in your body and present in the universe around, right? So I love to do this ritual where I'm offering flowers for space element, right? So I always offer, so again, the goddess would love red flowers, pink colored flowers. So you offer the flowers as a part of purifying the space within your body and the space around you, right? The second element is the air element, right? So air element, you can give some dhupa. So dhupa is any kind of incense too, right? Or we look at sound pertaining, you can do bells, which is also the sound pertaining, some kind of a bell that you're ringing. You can also use that. The third element is the fire. So you're going to do a lamp, right? I always light all my lamps in ghee with a cotton wick. So when
Yeah,
you
so you take a I think it's dia, right?
Diya, yeah. So if you look at this lamp right here on the screen, right? So this is the lamp. There is going to be ghee, and then you're using a cotton wick to light it. So
Yeah,
why? Because this is not going to create any toxins, right? A lot of the candles and scented candles are going to
yeah,
create
that's too
toxicity.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah, and ghee, when it burns, it does not create any toxins,
good.
right? So that's why you will use some ghee. Then you can offer water, or you could offer milk as a part of the water element, and any of the fruits that you have, So there are several fruits here. Usually we make offerings of five, so five kinds of fruits. Or you could offer some dry fruits like almonds, cashews, Um, you could offer some honey if you want, right?
And
Um,
would fruit be considered part of the earth
Earth
element?
element, yeah, earth element. Yeah. Right, and then you offer your own ego. So then when you set everything up, you sit in a meditative posture, you close your eyes, and you can also concentrate on your third eye, right? And you can meditate on the form of the goddess, right? So any goddess that you
Oh,
choose. Yeah.
quick question. In India, I know there's different way of looking at it. Some in Ayurveda, we put the seat of consciousness in the heart,
Yeah.
and we have the third eye. Would you meditate here, or would you meditate through the heart?
Whatever comes naturally to you, but again, these are rituals. The most important aspect is your faith, your inner connection, right? So if I'm chanting mantras without being conscious, just to keep chanting or do
Yeah.
repetitions, I'm not connected, right? It may not benefit me as much as I can do a single chant, but with whole heart, whole soul, everything that I have, I make an offering to the goddess, right? And there are certain, miraculous things that happen. Like on my first trip, there is another prayer that is a lengthy prayer, and I was not like, I can read it. And I know it when I read it, I know each and every wording, but I don't know the sequence of the wordings, right? So as I was traveling to the mountaintop to the Chandrabadni, the first Shaktipeetha, I was like, okay, I want to say this prayer, but I don't know the sequence. How am I going to do it? And I don't want to open my phone in front of the inside the temple. I'd never do that. Funny enough, I sat there for 2 minutes. I bowed my head, and that's another important thing. So you have to completely bow down. You touch your head, forehead to the ground. You can, there are different ways of praying. You can completely, um, like touch your entire body and your head and just offer your everything that you have to the goddess. And as I bowed down, I was like, okay, I wanted to do this prayer. I don't know how. Not 30 seconds even gone, and the priest started chanting the same prayer.
Wow.
30 seconds, he started chanting
Wow.
without me having any conversation with him.
I've studied miracles, a course in miracle that you maybe
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I've studied miracles for the past 8 years now, 10
Yeah.
years. There is a process to miracles.
Yeah.
And there is always purification before that's got to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So when you surrender your ego, this is the purification,
Yeah.
and you don't know when the miracle is going to happen, but your mind and your heart and your soul will be ready for a miracle.
Yeah.
Then God reveals whenever, but you're ready because you've sacrificed your ego on the altar. This is
Yeah.
exactly what's coming across traditions. So it's amazing. I'm just going to translate what we've said so far.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So you would have an altar in every home where you live, Manjiri, you would have an altar, right?
You would have an altar in every home that you live, but it has to be one space and that has to be kept really clean, right? So, and specific, and then you would always be seated when you're praying. So we would always be seated on the ground.
Yeah,
If you cannot sit on the ground, you can sit in a chair as well. See, again, these are rituals traditionally established, but I think your faith is one of the most
yeah,
important aspects.
yeah,
So do what comes naturally to you, and the connection is more important over gathering everything else.
exactly. And the goddess know where your heart is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and I want to and you would clean and change according to season and which goddess you would pray during that time, correct?
You can have one goddess that you're always connected to.
Okay, so
Again,
I could
you
have
don't have to keep changing,
okay,
you don't have to, right? But different festivals like, Lakshmi Pujan, you pray to Mahalakshmi, right? Vasant Panchami, that's the special day for her. So we are praying to that. See, end of the day, all goddesses merge into one. And Durga is kind of an aspect of the primordial goddess, so are every other goddess. So you can even choose one and keep praying to her. But again, remember that when you look at the goddess, whatever form you're praying into, whether it's goddess, whether it's God, whether it's Ganesha, you are going to slowly, you will start embodying those, right? So only pray to fierce gods and goddesses if you're ready for it, because they will bring fierce changes. Gentle gods will take their time, right? But a lot of, and yeah, yeah. So that's one one thing I would say.
so okay, wonderful. And then and puja is the same as doing a ritual, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So there are several, Panchopchar pujas and 16 kind of aspect prayers and all. So there are different kind of pujas, and mantra is the sound invocation,
Okay,
right?
let
So
me just
anytime, yeah, you
try.
do a chant, again, that would represent the space element. So you could do a chant verbally, you could do a chant without saying the words, just in your heart, right?
Perfect. So let
And yeah,
I'm just going to translate because I will lose too much.
yeah,
OK, donc, d'un rituel, si vous voulez installer un hôtel à l'intérieur de votre maison et vivre la transformation qu'amènent les dévis, les déités, donc, alors, vous allez pouvoir installer un rituel dans votre maison. Ça doit être un endroit, un rituel, un hôtel. Donc, c'est un endroit qui va rester au même endroit. C'est un petit hôtel désigné, c'est un espace sacré. Et ça va être l'endroit où vous allez prier constamment et vous allez vous recueillir. Et pourquoi ça doit être un espace dédié? Parce que l'énergie va commencer à être canalisée à cet endroit-là de votre maison. Et là, typiquement, ce qu'on va faire en Inde comme rituel, c'est qu'on va mettre une image de la déesse, un aspect de Dieu qu'on veut incarné, qu'on veut amener à l'intérieur de notre vie, vers lequel on veut tendre. Et donc, il faut être prêt quand vous allez choisir une déité, que ces qualités-là, vous les voulez à l'intérieur de vous. Et donc, vous allez, on amène des choses à offrir à la déesse. Donc, euh, par exemple, si c'est Navaratri, on va mettre des graines qu'on va semer puisqu'elle va amener une récolte. Et typiquement, dans cet endroit-là, sur ce petit hôtel-là, on va prendre un nappe rouge qui est considérée comme étant auspicieuse. Oui, elle peut changer avec les déesses, mais typiquement, le rouge va très bien agir. On va mettre une noix de coco et ça va symboliser, c'est des symboles. Donc, la noix de coco va symboliser qu'on donne notre tête, qu'on donne notre ignorance, qu'on donne notre ego. On va également amener des sacrifices, des offrandes, pardon, pas des sacrifices, des offrandes. La traduction, des fois, a ses exigences. Donc, on va donner des offrandes qui vont représenter les 5 éléments de la nature présents dans le cosmos et présents à l'intérieur de vous. Alors, pour l'espace, Manjiri aime bien mettre des fleurs et aussi pour purifier. Elle va, pour représenter l'élément air, elle va mettre une dipa, donc qui est une lampe, pardon, dupa, qui va être de l'encens. Donc ça va représenter l'élément air. Pour représenter l'élément feu, elle va mettre une lampe de ghee qu'on appelle dia et qui a une tige de coton. Et les chandelles de ghee en Inde sont très aimées parce que si on a une tige, une mèche de coton, quand elles brûlent, elles ne sont pas toxiques. On peut amener pour l'élément eau, on va mettre de l'eau ou encore du lait. Et on va typiquement mettre 5 fruits qui vont représenter l'élément terre avec parfois des cachous ou des noix. Et on va s'asseoir dans une position en méditation et en se concentrant sur notre troisième œil. Je lui disais que différentes écoles placent la conscience soit dans le troisième œil, soit au niveau du cœur. Souvent en Ayurveda, la place de la conscience, c'est le cœur et on va prier à partir de cet endroit-là. Et ce qui est important, c'est que ça peut être un seul mantra récité ou ça peut être plusieurs. Mais elle dit, c'est comme dans n'importe quoi, cette déesse-là va savoir où est ton cœur. C'est pas d'en faire 20 pour en faire 20, tu peux en faire un sincère et ça va suffire. Et quand on va prier en Inde, on va euh, faire en sorte que notre front touche le sol. Donc, on va complètement s'agenouiller en révérence à ce qu'on demande, dans l'humilité et toujours dans le but de sacrifier notre ego. Et elle a dit qu'elle a vécu quelque chose de miraculeux dans un moment où elle était dans un temple et t'apporte pas les téléphones cellulaires dans les temples en Inde pour respecter le côté sacré et elle voulait réciter une prière et elle était dans les bancs du temple en train de penser à cette prière-là, mais elle ne se souvenait pas des mots, puis elle dit comment je vais faire. Et elle dit 30 secondes après que j'ai pensé à ça, le prêtre s'est mis à réciter cette prière-là et elle dit il y a vraiment des miracles qui peuvent se produire quand on s'harmonise comme ça au cosmos et à tout ce qui est. So you can keep continuing on the rituals, Manjiri.
Yeah, so mantras, when we talk about mantras, there's, so many different ones, right? But the pronunciation is kind of the key there. So if you are someone who wants to get started, listen to the mantra several times and start with the simpler ones and make it a part of your routines. You could also do your own prayer. Again, when you do the prayer, it's always good to surrender, right? Rather than ask for what's good for you over what you require right now. That's something, that's been a part of my journey nowadays. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. The 700 verses of the goddess, that kind of started my spiritual journey a few years ago when my mom was hospitalized. She was not going to be able to do it. So the first time I just read it, I didn't really understand a lot of it. I just wanted to make sure I finished those 700 verses in 2 days. The second time I really read the meaning and tried to read it. And then now every year I will take my time to chant. I will take my time to really embrace it, right? Embody the aspects. And while connecting with the goddess, it's also important to remember that no matter how evolved you feel, right, you're still human at the end of it. You are going to make some mistakes, but she will help you correct your mistakes if you go to her with complete faith. right? Any aspect that you choose. It's the faith that's important, it's the surrender that's really important, and also making sure that you're praying for the greater good, you know? It's not just about me, myself, what I can do. And that's really all about embodying the wisdom. How can I help? Right? And to be able to grow this Shakti, you know, if you are somebody who has a lot of power within, offer support to other women in your life. Maybe call a friend, ask her, hey, what's going on? Is there something that you need? Right? So that is how you will grow your Shakti and you will grow that wisdom of divine feminine everywhere around. So those are, you know, simple words. We can keep talking about it, but I know it's been a
I
while.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the time has
yeah,
flown by,
yeah.
and it's been such a generous interview. So let me translate that, and then I believe we can close.
Yeah, I'll close with another chant. Yeah,
Okay, perfect. So let me just translate.
yeah,
Alors, en terminant cette entrevue extraordinairement généreuse, euh, euh, Manjiri va être sûr qu'on comprenne que la prononciation, c'est la clé dans les mantras. Et donc, si on n'a pas été initié à un mantra ou on ne sait pas comment bien l'apprendre, écoutez les prononciations qui sont disponibles sur Internet, répétez-le. C'est mieux d'être à quelque chose de simple et que vous possédez très bien et faites-le de manière constante. Elle dit, vous savez, elle dit, quand on prie, dans notre culture, on comprend que c'est plus important de demander ce qui est bon pour nous que de demander ce que nous, on veut. Et elle dit, quand ma mère a été hospitalisée, je me suis lancée dans les 700 versets de Shakti. Et là, elle dit, j'ai des faites en 2 jours pour pouvoir les apprendre et tout. Puis elle dit, avec le temps, elle dit, j'ai compris que c'était à propos d'incarner ces aspects-là. Elle dit, j'ai compris que c'était à propos. Elle dit, maintenant, je les fais un par un, je les savoure, je les médite, je les porte. Et elle dit, la déesse est tellement grande que même si vous faites des erreurs, elle va vous aider puis vous corriger. Et elle dit, ce qui est le plus important, c'est la foi, c'est de prier pour le plus grand bien et le plus grand bien de tous ceux impliqués et le plus grand bien de tous. Et elle dit, c'est le lâcher prise, c'est de laisser aller après notre prière et de faire confiance. Et elle dit, si vous êtes une femme qui avait beaucoup de Shakti, beaucoup de cette énergie féminine-là, qui est bien positionnée, qui est puissante, ben, elle dit, partagez ça. Offrez votre aide aux autres. Bonjour, comment je peux t'aider aux autres femmes pour distribuer cette puissance-là auprès des autres femmes et continuez-vous de grandir votre énergie féminine, mais d'une manière qui élève toutes les autres femmes. Alors, on va terminer avec le docteur Manjiri, qu'on remercie énormément par un dernier mantra. Si vous voulez le faire avec nous, peut-être même dès qu'on y veut une screenshot, alors, vous pourriez même prendre en photo ce beau mantra-là. Et, euh, et je vais terminer avec elle. Je ne retraduirai pas en français. Merci de partager cette entrevue-là extraordinaire. Dr Manjiri, vous pouvez la suivre. Les liens vont accompagner. Et de mon côté, j'ai une communauté sur l'Ayurveda et Dr Manjiri offre beaucoup d'ateliers aussi. Elle s'en vient avec possiblement une communauté et d'autres événements. Et vous pouvez retrouver tous nos services à nous sur Ariel Ayurveda. Donc, Manjiri, I was saying to people that I will let you close with a chant. Ils peuvent même prendre en photo. They can even screenshot
yeah.
that mantra. And I was going to say that I'm not going to translate afterward in French. We're just going to close in this. I've told them to follow you. All the links will be there. You're maybe probably going to have a community and you offer a lot of workshops so to go and see what you're doing and I've spoken as well on my services if ever they want to look into what we offer as well. So I'll let you finish this, but first I just want to say, because when you've done with the chant, I really want us to close and leave with that energy, but I wanted to thank you, Manjiri.
So much.
It's been so generous, so Wow, we've been on a journey with you. We really were on another realm. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share and connect with so many people. And this is truly something I believe in. As women, we should support each other, help each other, and grow together. Right. And that's also my mantra for the next year, like really creating that support, really creating that connection. Right. And this is another chant that's very close to my heart. So if you can look at the picture here, you feel free to take a screenshot, but you are seeing all three goddesses merged into one. You're seeing goddess Saraswati with her veena. You're seeing goddess Kali with the trident, and then you're seeing goddess Lakshmi with the lotus. So this is the merging of the three goddesses, the divine feminine, the Adi Shakti, the main feminine force of the universe. And I will say the mantra or the shloka, and then I will give you the translation as well. Um, if you can just fold your hands, join your hands for the prayer, you can close your eyes, really connect with this energy. Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Sarvamangala Mangalle शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. So she is the auspiciousness in all of the auspiciousness. So she has all attributes that will fulfill all your desires, all your objectives, whether you're looking for spiritual wealth, material wealth, or intellect, or freedom from fear, addictions, no matter what it is that you require, the divine feminine knows that, and she gives refuge to those who come to her. She has three eyes, so she can see in this world, present and beyond. And that is the goddess Gauri Narayani, any name that you name her. So we just want to be able to surrender to her with all our hearts. And she's the one that will carry you throughout this life and after as well. So that's the last chant for today. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for the opportunity once again. Have a brilliant day, everyone, and may the Shakti be with you, and may you recognize your own Shakti. Thank you.
Thank you. Be blessed, be well, be loved. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Manjiri.